Welcome to Beyond the Roar. This is a show with me, Chris McGuire, and my father, Todd McGuire, talking about life, events, and tragedy. Please join us for all the comedic things we're going to be talking about and all the fun that we're going to have. Enjoy.
I could never be somebody that, because it's just not our makeup, my makeup, that grabs a good book and goes sits by a brook or a river and just gets immersed in the book. You can either be immersed in, which that's wonderful if that's what people do. I think it's fantastic. But I'm the opposite. I want to be in the brook. I want to be fishing. I want to be doing. And I love nature. Your Grampy Poirier could curl up and read a book and just stay there all day long and never move. Just happy as a lark. And that's good. Nothing wrong with that. But I got to get my hands in the dirt, and I got to be doing something. I have to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more that you build around you, the more maintenance it requires to take care of whatever that is you built. And yeah. Then you've got weddings, and you have funerals, and then you have, this is on my end. These are the things that nobody else sees. So everything that you either get asked to do or expected to do from whatever takes preparation and time to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of preparation and time. Then you have to do 3 sermons a week, and every one of them, to do it properly, to have a proper delivery, beside prayer, building the sermon, probably 10 hours a sermon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that may build over 3 or 4 weeks while you're percolating on something, when you put it together. But, yeah. So, yeah. So you have Wednesday night, Friday morning, Tuesday night, which I rarely get to. Excuse me. And then Sundays. And you put so much into Sunday morning. For your people. That's what it's for. And then Sunday night. And then Monday morning, you're back in the workforce. So you're going 7 days a week straight.
Where's the hierarchy of your time, though? How do you have it laid out? Or have you ever decided that?
Like,
what's on top?
My structure.
You ever thought about that? It's more what's important in the moment.
See, back in the day, before Mama was even full-time, we could spend the mornings doing our office stuff, the things that we had to do. Then we could go visiting or whatever in the afternoon. By the evening, you were pretty well back to normal. But summer times aren't as bad for us. Mom gets 6 weeks or 7 weeks off, and you get to relax a little bit more. What happens every spring, this is just what happens this time of year, because you carry so much through the year. You carry your winter, you carry fall preparations for winter, you carry summer preparations for fall, and you get, for some, winters are a little slack, and you get to rest a little bit more. And that's the case in some of our weeks or days, but normally you roll right through. So springtime, you're now ready for the warm weather, the nice weather where you can actually sit out, relax, and enjoy some time in the evenings. And normally, any kind of a structure that we've had, pastoring, even barbering and pastoring have similarities, but you get to hold hours and you get to put whatever you want in for those hours. You want to do 10 hours today, or you want to do 7 hours tomorrow, or whatever. That's so you can set your time. But with every job, nope, I can't say that. Not with every job I've had, but with every pastoring is different. You don't hold you hold your calendar to a certain point, but I mean you have a set thing that you have to do. So you have to and we don't have anybody currently, who could pick up and help on some administration things. So therefore, you're not just the pastor, you're the administrator now too, while you're doing the calendars and the bulletins. And yes, those are things that we took on. We don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. The church could. They don't need it. Why do they need it? But we do it because it's nice. It's a nice touch to have. So you take that on. So you take on doing your bulletins, your calendars. So in the bulletin, there's a lot more to the bulletin than just throwing some words on a page and copying it off. Like there's always a flow. And you've got birthdays and anniversaries you have to keep up with, and you've got prayer requests you have to keep up with, and there's people that have been on our list for they got to be some healthy because we prayed for them now for 4 years since we've been there. They're still on the list. And if nobody ever gives you the update, they just stay on the list. I have to look at the list and check back through messages each week before I publish it because somebody may have passed away. And I may have been the last one to know about it or the first. I mean, it all depends. But anyway. Then you've got, So, and then when there's unexpected things like this week, we had to go do a funeral for a little family, and that was our privilege to do that. But while we were there doing that, or on our way to doing that, the transmission went out of our vehicle, which is a vehicle issue. I mean, that happens every day to people. But those are just things in life that you don't need. So now you're facing a $7,500 bill. But how do you pay that if you don't have it in savings or in an overflow or whatever? So can't go picking fiddleheads to pay for it now because it's past the season. Can't shovel snow. So there's stresses and strains, and everybody faces it, and we're all there together. And the busyness, it just keeps you. It's a vicious circle once you get caught into it. So like today, though.
Do you think that's not what the Lord's trying to tell you, though?
It's funny because I had a conversation just like this with a pastor this week. He said he's pastoring. He drives school bus full time. He pastors, and he said
none of this is going in the podcast. If you're wondering,
he said last
Roy
summer.
D.
Is
it Roy D?
No, Andrew Savage in Campobello. He said last year he took on 30 or 27 or 37 lawns. That's what he used to do to make a living. But then he got full-time boss. But then he still had his business, his lawn business. But he said, like, I'm off all summer, So he said, I thought, well. And he said, man, I started working the lawns. He said, I took on 2 or 3 commercial lawns plus 27 or 37 lawns anyway. And he said, I never had enough time for nothing. He said, I'd get home, I'd be tired, then you got to go to church, and And he said, I felt like I couldn't give the church what they needed, because I was exhausted all the time. And he said, I got in the car going somewhere. He said, Lord, I can't believe that the devil's made me so busy. And he said, God stopped me right in my tracks and said, who made you busy? Well, he said, the devil's got me all. He said, the devil didn't sign those contracts. The devil didn't get you lawn business. He said, you're the one that did that. So he said, this summer I kept the nursing home, my own lawn, and he said, my mother's. Not doing nobody else's. He said, I don't care, because he said, I want to be able to take a break this summer. So for us,
Well, I see it from an outside perspective. Why do you think that town council that happened?
I got it fully, 100%.
Why do you think the transition?
And I'm still trying to catch up from that.
What do you mean?
Like getting over the loss of it and getting over the hustling before the campaign and then getting over the busyness of being in there. And I've hit a resolve the last 2 weeks. My phone's not ringing. I'm not receiving emails from that end of things. And I didn't realize how much it had me tied up. And that was awesome. And I feel free. But now I'm trying to recover from that stuff. You have to recover now after giving yourself for...
But you're not, though.
Yeah.
You're taking time?
Yeah, I have to. I don't have to worry about Monday nights going into meetings. I don't have to worry about...
What do you mean by recover, though?
I'm recovering from 4 years of going in all directions since that went on.
As in, like, you're taking time to sit and think about it, or what do you mean by recovering?
It's fantastic. I'm tired today because we've had a long week. But we have more time. Like, it was nice, except last night we have church, but any other evening now, me and Mom will go out and sit, put on a little smudge, and just relax.
Why do you always say that you're busy till 10, though?
Well, we are, because we're awake. Maybe till 11.
Your generation, I shouldn't say your whole generation, but your specific around here generation, the attitude is that you work and you work and you work, and then you complain about work, but you complain about work in the way that you're trying to gloat to others about how busy you are.
It's almost, you wear it like a badge.
It's the worst mindset I've ever seen anywhere.
We grew up in a generation, so the generation before us was hard workers.
And they were even worse than you guys.
Yep. And
Scrampies.
what's happening, there's a psychological thing in that, because there was shame. There was shame if you wanted to sit and look at the river. You must find something to do. Just sit there and be lazy all day long. That was that generation. So the psychological stuff that we would face because of that created a monster inside of us where we feel like we have to hustle every day. And that if we're not hustling every day, and my career, my calling, I still call it career, but my calling as pastor, you're busy on so many levels, or you could be busy on so many levels, but you have to also learn. We have a great assembly, but over the years, I think we talked about this months ago or whatever, a few months back in the winter. When you're pastoring, it's not a normal job. It's not an 8 to 5. It's not a 9 to 3. It's not a 7 to 7. It's a 7/24. So you carry that burden. You carry the burden for your people. It could be as much as an email. It could be as much as a text message. It could be an encouragement. Our people I don't know if it's because of my age now or whatever, but like we don't have a lot of petty people in our church.
Yeah.
They don't, call over petty, silly things. They're mature for the most part, and God has really blessed us there. But some pastors, you feel like you have to be working all the time so that when your people call, because your people are working, But I've often thought about that. I've never known another career, full time or full, in my head, full time, other than pastoring. I've trucked and I've done all kinds of jobs, but my career path has always been this. So I've always lamented to Mom, the old songs, it's finally Friday, I don't have to be me till Monday. There's old songs that when you're working Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, or whatever, your shift work, whatever it is, come Friday night, you're done. You want to rest. You can do whatever you want Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and then back at it Monday again and go on, But in our calling, it's not that way. You might have plans to go for supper, which this is few and far between now, but you might have plans for supper and on your way out the door and somebody calls with an emergency, somebody, and that's okay because you just automatically shift gears. Yes, there's some disappointment there, but you shift gears and just go do it. And you love people. And when you love people, it's hard to disconnect from people. You love people. Mm-hmm. People will hurt you and you still, like an old dog, just go back and love them more. But the busyness, yeah. It can be, it has its weeks. Like this week was a busy week. But now next week, it may not be so much, So like this week I've spent a lot of time, of course, we're down to one vehicle. So this week I've spent a lot of time at home doing projects things that needed to be done, know. And because we have farm animals and things, we had to extend my fence yesterday morning by 10 o'clock. I had the fence 2 feet higher because the chickens and things are flying out over top of the 4-foot fence. So we put a 6-foot fence and we clipped their wings. So, all of that stuff, that all takes time. It all takes time. And, but put a garden in last week. Got our raspberries trimmed up. Got our fruit trees done. Got our landscaping coming. You pick and choose as you go on that stuff. So we're just like anybody else. You're busy, you're going. And then when you have a home, you have to clean it. You have to, that. You have. So, yeah. There we are. I think it was 11 o'clock last night before bed. But that's not working stuff. That's doing things that you want to do too. So we went out last night and chased a guinea fowl around and got them back inside their new enclosure. We call it Alcatraz. We got them inside their not new but improved enclosure. Anyway. To be on a boat fishing today. I could make that happen, but that's another thing you got to do. I was looking the other day, sitting on the porch, and I said, we got that little swing for Gracie and Beckett there. And they're just so happy. You carry them around through life, throw them on a swing, and that's all the excitement they need. Woohoo, this is great. Go throw a ball, go do things. And as you get older, your responsibilities begin to multiply and compound. And I said that to Mom last night about you. You were sitting there yawning after church, and you're just zoned out. And that's a long weekend. It was only Wednesday. But that's the same on your end. My gosh, you guys are going in all directions.
That's not the reason I'm tired. I'm tired because I spend too much time sitting up at night doing stuff that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even last night I was up till 10 o'clock just because I was on my phone.
Yeah.
I had an hour. You're not supposed to take all that time to occupy your mind.
I find that too, like in society, because when you scroll on your phone, so say you were researching something or you were just on social media, whatever, especially if you're on social media, every scroll that you do has something different is coming at you. It doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You're just being inundated with whatever, everything. You might, you're one as you're scrolling through, you're hearing somebody's issues. There they are, airing the dirty laundry again.
Mm-hmm.
or you want to learn how to make the best lemonade? This is how you make the best lemonade. My lemonade's the best because I use. And the next one is, you having a problem with your colon? Try this if you're having problems with your colon. You got whatever? Try this. And you're just being hit. And I don't know the psychological effect of that. I don't know if there's a thing called psychological exhaustion. I'm certain there's got to be a name for that. But and every time when I make a post, I want a post that's engaging. I want to engage people. That's why you do it. So you do Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and you're trying to engage people. You want them to stop, say, oh, that person's doing this or whatever. Or if it's an advertisement for church or if it's an advertisement for whatever. But every one of those clicks that you do or every one of them scrolls that you do are opening another channel psychologically in your mind, and you're thinking in a different direction. And then your mind gets busy, and then your mind gets tired because you're going in all those directions. So, yeah.
You think you play mindless games, too. Nothing's mindless that you're doing on your phone because you have to think about all of it. So when you talk about sitting and relaxing, you're not relaxing. If you were to sit and relax, you'd be sitting there doing nothing. Maybe having a conversation. That doesn't take as much mental effort as it does when scrolling on your phone.
That's the truth. I don't know how other people are. I don't know how even you are. But as long as I'm home, I'm busy with something. I'm, whatever that might be, getting ready for Sunday, getting ready for.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go away and I don't have the responsibilities at my doorstep with farm things, with whatever, house stuff, or work things, that's when I relax. But then a person can only go away so much because you have responsibilities back here waiting.
You're not relaxing, though. You're occupying your time with other stuff. That's what Mom does. She sits on her phone. If she does nothing, she has to have her phone. She never gives her mind a break, and that is detrimental to your mental health. It's detrimental to your attention span, to your heart, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every bit of peace in your body, it affects. Because it pushes you into a certain zone in your mind, whether that's a zone of setting down or it's a zone of, sometimes it helps her clean. But once she's done that and she sets down, you can't be on that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Call it winding down, but it's actually winding up.
I remember when I was young, there was a day I wanted to go outside and play baseball with you, but you were too busy. And I don't know if Grampy was there at the time, but me and Grampy went out. And I think I only did that once. Ever.
Wow.
Just with Gramp. Or Uncle Tony, or one of them. But I don't remember that much when I was younger. Ever getting a chance to just sit with you guys. It was always something else that was occupying our time besides that.
Going in another direction.
At all times. Whether it was church or You guys were worried about something happening, but you never ever took time, even back then. So it's not just a now thing. This has always been the way it was.
Mm.
And even the same for me. Instead of going out with you guys for some events, I'd rather stay home, play video games. But it's a taught thing, it's a learned thing.
Yeah.
You learned it from your father. He would learn it from his, I assume.
I don't know.
I never knew Grampy Lawrence.
Papa, you mean Papa?
Papa Lawrence.
Ronald. Grampy's dad.
Ronald, yeah, sorry.
They talk about the simpler times, and yes, I know. There's a documentary on Facebook somewhere. Maybe it's not even there anymore. I don't think it was called Clickbait, but it may have been. I can't remember what it was called. But it talked about your phone and how that everything that you talk about, anything that you've engaged about, eventually will come back from the algorithms, and that you become addicted. They've learned how to cause addiction through that. You're always wondering, did somebody like my post? Did somebody just text me? Oh, did I get an email? So you open it up and see, like, how important. I'm not anybody at all. But how important do you think you are when you think people are just trying to get a hold of you steady? Now, back in the day when we were evangelists, you had to kind of keep up with that because you didn't want to miss a date or whatever. But we're not evangelists now. Although people can still reach out, but if they need you, they'll call. If it's an emergency, most times I'm not going to text you and say, hey, Chris, I just broke my arm, or my leg just got cut off. You would call, because that's what we do. But anyhow.
Well, just going back, even when you were in Harvey, it was pastoring. It was the fire department. At one point, it was working out with Chad. There was always stuff that filled time. And I find that you guys never ever made time. And you still don't. And that's something that I've been trying to focus on in my life, because I also don't do that.
Yeah.
Grampy doesn't do that. But it is good when somebody mentions that to you. And that's why, with everything going on that happened recently, I feel like that's the Lord trying to push you in a direction to make time.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to be with your family? How are you going to be with your grandchildren if you don't make time? The only time you can make with Beckett's when you go down there, and then you're able to sit and be with him.
Yeah.
But if you have 100 million things to do,
You just can't do it.
no, you can't. And then you guys always try to add to that too. I always try to add to that. I keep thinking of ways to do better. But I've tried to shift my mind, so I'm trying to make money without needing to work, because I would rather be home with my family and help them out. I want to stay home with my baby, help raise her.
Right.
I don't want my wife to work. I don't want Ashley to work. I want her to be home and take care. And that's more of a modern mindset, because I see what the detrimental effects are from busying yourself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell the families that do take a lot of time, and typically those are the farm families. The DeLongs up on the hill here. Mm-hmm. I think they got 4 kids. All 4 of those kids are mature. They're able to talk with people. But that involves them being out with their dad. And he might be working, and they're working with him. You're not spending necessarily, you're not just sitting down, but it is still quality time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember even at one point, my mom, I tried to help her do laundry, and I did it wrong. I think I was 12, and that was the only time She never ever showed me after because I did it wrong the first time, so that was it. I actually got taught how to do laundry by a woman at Banning Camp. I don't even know who it was, but apparently it wasn't right. She just told me to throw my towels and everything and my clothes all together.
Oh.
But I found that was a common thing in the house growing up. If something wasn't perfect, if we couldn't do it properly, we just wouldn't do it. And that gave me a bit of a disorder for perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm that same way with the youth group. I'm that same way with Graceland and my wife. And I'm trying to break that because nobody's perfect. But I noticed that a lot growing up.
Every generation tries to better, or you would hope that they would try to better. You learn from the mistakes of your parents. So my mom and dad, somewhere along the line, would have made mistakes. Penny's mom and dad would have made mistakes. And what you do is you take those mistakes and you say, gee, I'm not going to do that. I want to do better in this area. But then also, you're going to make your mistakes. And then Gracie and Beckett, when they get older, Beckett's going to say, well, mom and dad, this, and this. And same way for Gracie. She's going to say, well, mom and dad, you know, they had this, so I'm not going to do that. So you try to better from the generation before and the generation before. And I've heard tell of, they call it breaking the cycle. You break the cycle.
Yep.
I've heard of poverty where it's just, well, my parents were poor, my grandparents were poor, so I'm going to be poor. No, you can break that cycle.
Yep.
And it's the same way with behavioral things or with time things or whatever it is. Break that cycle and do better, you know?
More so from that, I think it's not just breaking the cycle, it's being able to have the ability to change. Because your kid might mention that to you, but if you never, ever, ever take account into what they say, because you think they're lesser or they don't know as much or they don't have the life experience, then you as well won't be able to change and benefit them.
Right.
Because I've seen a lot of parents, their children will mention stuff. One family that comes to mind, the mother, she's now deceased. She passed away from a drug overdose.
Okay.
But the kids would always try to help her, and they were always by her side trying to help her get through it, but she just couldn't. You know, she had that set in her mind. Of course, it's addictive too, but she had that set in her mind to change, to not change. And the same with, not to pick on poor Grampy, but the same way where he's so stubborn that he won't ever listen. You know, you'll tell him, don't do that, Gramp. He'll go out and do it.
Mm-hmm. I can do that.
It's that stubborn nature. And I don't think we can have that and also move forward. Growth is important.
Yeah. I remember so you try to build off of what your parents give you, but then you also, because you're your own person and you have your own ideas and thoughts on life, so you take it in a different direction. Or do something else too, or better the way you were brought up. So when you guys were younger, like it was a yearly thing for a few years, and then it was maybe every other year or whatever. But we would go to Florida. We would get down to Disney World. We would get down to you know, places like that. If we didn't do Florida one year, maybe we were going to stay local and go to PEI or go to Moncton or go somewhere. So we always tried to find the time to go do those things. Those are like a vacation type thing.
Yeah.
Many times we'd spend at camps, or we would spend at Graham and Gramps' house because we just couldn't afford perhaps maybe to go away somewhere, but we'd come home for a visit and stay for 3 or 4 or 5 days and then go back home or however that is. So
there's an issue in that too, though, because working so hard to build up to that event, you have to you have to neglect some things. You get to do that in the end, but what did it cost you? You know, was the hours worth it that you spent doing it? Was the experience worth it that much? That's also part of counting the cost.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of hours. This job, I wish I could spend so much more time with my baby. I get roughly 3 hours a day.
With her. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Most people spend more time with children at work. Your wife would spend more time with the kids at her work than she would her own grandkids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I work 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day. I'm gone from the house. I get her the whole hour in the morning that she's up. And then after work, I try to be the one that feeds her. She goes to bed at 7, and that's it. So you think about that, 3 hours a day. What's that a week?
21 hours. Wow, the weekends you'd have her more.
I have her more on Sundays and Saturdays and Mondays, but still, the amount of time I spend at this job talking to other people rather than being home with my family, the ones that I want to be with,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones that I care about. But you neglect it. I neglect time with my wife because sometimes I'll sit and scroll on my phone even though I'm only home with her for 5 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know? How much quality time do you truthfully put in? Psychologists say that you need to spend 20 minutes uninterrupted every day with your children. At least 20 minutes where you are focusing on them. They said when you get home, you should spend the first 20 minutes at your home specifically focused on them. And then it's also important to break it down if you have more than one kid to spend that much time with each and every one, because you need to build your relationship and you need to care for them, because it's not just you being in the house that matters. It's you focusing on them that matters. And if your head's stuck in a phone, they're never ever going to get that from you.
Yeah, true story.
It's like that father I talked about before who works as a fisherman, and he's got 10 kids or 15 kids or 30 kids or whatever the crazy number is. And his idea is that he works over across the world to make Christmas good for his kids. He said, I want to give them what I never had. But he's not giving them anything. He's giving them gifts. Gifts that don't matter. He's not spending a lick of time with them. He comes home twice a year. Christmas and then the summer. And those kids are just crying for attention. He's never ever given it to them. What a terrible thing. Or the parents that go to Alberta and work for 2 weeks at a time, come home for a week. And in that week, they're so busy. How do you focus on your child that week? You got to look at your bills. You got to look at all your finances, all these different things.
And see, every one of those parents that are doing that, their mindset is, I'm doing this to help my family.
Yes, I understand that mindset.
So they really feel like they're doing what is best for their family at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
And now our calling, our career has afforded us the ability to spend more time with you guys than what other families had spent with their children, doing other things, like it may have been going to Fredericton or going here or going there, spending time together at least.
Yeah.
With that ministry and calling where you feel that void because you are pulling away from your house today. You're going to put your 8 or 9 hours in at the shop, then you're going to go home after that. And that's the give and take to everything in life. There's got to be a give and take. Something somewhere is going to receive more attention or less attention because of that. So.
Well, there's still a lot of psychology with that too.
Yeah, I believe
where
that.
You may have more time with your kids, so you take it for granted. more than a person that would work. So you fill it up more than a person that would work. The fire department, the visiting, doing music ministry on the side, trying to build your own businesses, trying to build these things. So you think, well, I'm with my kids all the time, so they're probably getting what they should, but that's not always the case. As with other parents that might go to work in the morning, travel home at night, they know how precious their time is with their kid, so they try to make more use of it.
Right.
Depending.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate all the time that we had. I remember going to Fredericton lots and traveling around, and me and you would come up to the house here and work, talk in the car and different things, and even going out trucking. So we did have a lot more time than a lot of parents.
But as I preach a message, sometimes, a lot of times at a funeral, not every funeral, but I've preached this message. God wants quality time, not quantity time. Because quantity is just time filling in your day, filling in your life, filling in your, what about the quality times? Birthday parties, anniversaries, after supper meetings, fun things. That's quality.
Maybe he's trying to push you in the same direction,
Yeah.
where we set off this time a week to commune with each other. We talk with each other, which you don't see anybody doing. And this isn't even the reason for the podcast. I don't want to, I've said it before, I don't do this for the podcast. I do it to talk with you.
Yeah.
Because we never did this.
Yeah.
And it could even be a call for you or for me. I know the Lord wants me to spend more time with him. I spend too much time here at the shop, and I wish I didn't. But life builds up too. You make mistakes, you get into debt, you do different things, and you got to recover. So I got to put in the time to recover. But it doesn't mean that it's any less important, the time that God wants with me.
Right.
And the same for yourself.
Yeah. It's so true.
I can't help but to think that this is all that's going on. How does everything like this happen that's trying to keep you home more, to stop you from doing as much? How does any of that make any sense? Maybe it's the Lord's way of pushing you into focusing on family more. You know, after Ashley's grandmother passed, I can't help but think that a lot of things in life push us to be at home. You know, how many times did we go up and see her? I could probably count it. I think we'd go, I think it was 5 times a year we'd travel up to see Ashley's, her nan, the one that passed.
Yeah.
And that was quality time. We'd go in there, there's no internet, there's nothing, so you'd sit and talk and make fun of each other for a while.
Yeah.
And that was it. 3 months. She got the diagnosis. She was feeling bad at Christmas. She got the diagnosis January, and I think it was March she passed. That was it. I never seen her after Christmas.
When I got sick and went in the hospital, that forced me to stop and pull the brakes. I had to. There's nothing I could do about it. So then you now have to focus on you at getting better. And by doing that, I remember saying, I'm not going to be as busy as I was when I came in here. But then as you get back into society and your body's healing, although I'm mostly back to normal, but your body I had peace and solace. You know, you guys were here and there, but I mean, I was in Fredericton and we get that. And would come down once a week to see us, or twice a week, or whatever it was. Anytime you could. And that was awesome. But when I get out of there, I'm not as busy as I was when I went in, but you can just, it just takes one commitment. It takes one yes. Somebody told me years ago, they said, you can say no too.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at them and I said, I can't. Excuse me. It was just, we were working in the church and with a lead pastor, and they would ask and I would say, sure. Can you? Yep. Can you? Yep. And I was so busy, so tired, doing so many things. And somebody came to me and they said, you can say no. And I said, but Pastor asked to do it, and I can't say no to him. Like, he's going to have to do it. Who's going to do it, But anyway, I was younger then, so I look at that now, and that's why I try not to ask people for a whole lot of things, because they're already going in so many directions. So you just do it yourself. You just do it, and then it's done, and you don't have to worry about it.
Well, in that same vein, you might not be working as many things. You don't have as many commitments, but you're still filling your time.
Mm.
You still find just as much to do as you did then and before you were sick. I don't see any change in you in terms of you taking time to stop. You guys might have some more bonfires, but either way, when you're doing that, you're still out sometimes on the phone, and you're still thinking about what I can do later. You're not in the moment, and that's still just as hard on you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have as many commitments, like I said, but you still have as many thoughts running through your head, and you're still just as distracted.
And I hustled a lot this past spring, getting any kind of summer, spring projects done that I needed to get done, so that I don't have.
What's needed, though?
Well, it needed to. I had to do a fence. I had to do things like that.
Well, that's only because you have the responsibilities.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. A garden. It's a want.
It
You
is.
can go buy
It's not a
vegetables
necessity.
from somebody, but it's just planting and it's spending time, because when you're doing that, you're not doing something else. So you're relaxing, swatting flies, but you're relaxing up in the garden.
It's budgeting your time, though.
Yeah.
What's more important? Would you rather be doing that, or would you rather be relaxing, resting? That's where that comes in. That for sure is not a necessity nowadays, unless you're the Amish. And even then, they can go to the store and get it.
Well, you can go to a farm that grows the same vegetables, and probably by the time when you buy a bunch of beets off somebody or cucumbers, the time that just went in to create that cucumber or those beets is overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
And you'll pay, I don't even know what it would cost for a bunch of beets, like $5, $6, $7, whatever. Organic or whatever, it could be $10. And it takes probably 5 pounds of beets to make all the pickles that you'd need to make for the year. It takes 10 pounds of cucumbers to make all of the cucumbers, all of the preserves that you would like to make. All of that stuff can be done. You could do that for probably less than $150. Purchase everything that you need, and then pickle and bottle and do whatever. Or you can spend $500 with your time, with your
500.
That's
1,000,
yeah, probably
2,000, 3,000. How much is your time worth? Have you ever thought of that?
We were always taught that our time is not worth anything.
Time is so priceless, it's not even funny. Especially now. How many years do you have left? How many years did your father have left?
That's what I did the other day, a couple weeks ago. We were working around. Dad was doing something at his place, and I was over Might have been mowing or I was doing something, and I just shut it off. And I don't know if I hollered over to him because it's just across the street, and I said, "Hey, I'll go fishing." Yep. Okay. And we just dropped what we were doing at fishing.
Good.
We caught 10 trout. It was great. It was awesome. But we just spent time doing that.
Yep.
So we spent a couple of hours, 3 maybe, whatever, together, exploring, going and finding,
That, to me, is worth more
Yeah.
than any hour I'd spend in the shop working.
100%. Absolutely. I love that stuff. And I've often said it so many times, I wish you and I could do that more, but you're on your schedule and the things, and I'm on mine. I wish I could get down with Des and Sam and we could just jump onto our wheelers and go, but now they're working and she's on crazy shifts and he's on shifts and the baby's here and there's all these things. So
But we put ourselves in that place. We can say we don't. We can say life just gets busy. It doesn't. I don't have to have internet here that's costs me $120 a month. I don't have to have a phone that costs me $30. My wife doesn't have to have a phone that costs her. We don't have to have all of these subscriptions. We don't have to have all this stuff. It takes so much of our money, so much of our time that we have to fill it so much more than we ever would need to.
Convenience. And we
It's not even convenience.
You sacrifice so many things at the altar of convenience. Well, having a phone's convenient.
It's
It's
not.
more convenient than having to step next door and say, "Hey, can I borrow your telephone?"
Imagine the waste of time, though.
Oh, I know. Yes.
How many people spend,
I get
how
it.
many, I don't want to call them out. How many people spend that much hours a week on their phone? That's not convenient. That's a waste. If you have over 20, if you have over 10, if you have over 5 hours a week, what could you have done with that time better? Some people, I know a buddy of mine, he's got 15 hours a day on his phone. 15.
Yeah,
You know how much? That's way more than working a week.
I believe that.
But
Totally believe that.
how much is your time worth? I had a guy come in here. He just started his own business, working in a very specific niche trade. And before he was working at another place earning minimum wage. And he says, right now, he says, this other place that I was working at, I could work for 6 hours and make the same wage that I do in 1 hour.
Wow.
And he's debating. He said, should I quit it? He said, it's only 1 day a week I work there, but it's just in case. Just in case during the winter I'm not as busy. Just in case this season I'm not as busy. But what's your time worth?
Yeah.
He can sit in that 1 hour and earn the same wage that 6 hours would earn him. This other area. Just you gotta think about that. What's family time worth?
It's worth so much. Priceless. It's priceless.
What's time with God worth? We even value that less a lot of times than even family or our phone. Well, a lot of us value it less than our phone, which is crazy. That's the one thing we're supposed to focus on. That's why we're down here. That's why God died on the cross. But we don't value it. And I'm not saying all this to pick on you today, Dad. As I'm preaching to myself just as much as with the church. Whenever I preach those lessons at church, it's all God working on my heart. Whenever I teach the youth, it's God working on my heart because I know the way that I am and the way that I want to be. But getting to that point is such a, how do you do that? It's hard. But this is why I budgeted this for us.
And I love it. Everything has increased. So today, or yesterday, whatever it was, I was listening to an advertisement about a Ford tractor from 1960 something, 1970 something, whatever. And it said they built 55,000 of those tractors. They were a great compact tractor back in the day. You could have got it for $1,114. Now, back then, that was a lot of money. So I've said this to your point that, yes, everybody's busy and we're going in directions, but everything is astronomically higher today than what it was in the 70s. Astronomically higher. Everything has gone up except for wages in some cases. So therefore, in order to survive, and then they've added these since the late 80s, early 90s, and computers and everything else. So now there's a lot of time wasters. I don't know what they would have done in the 70s to waste time. Something. There would have been something out there. But time has stayed the same, but the quantity of time or the need to work more has increased because everything else has increased. Taxes are ridiculous on the East Coast here. I think New Brunswick is the highest tax base in all of Canada, which I don't understand, but anyway, it is what it is. And bread, go to the store. Go to the grocery store and buy $100 worth of groceries. See what you come out with. So therefore, you have to work harder and spend more time to try to make a living. And there's a lot of people out there that have made a living and not a life.
Yep.
And we get caught in that cycle. You make a living, not a life. So you go buy something with payments, and now you have to pay for that. So now you've got the next 5 years where you're locked into a sentence.
Yep.
All because you're trying to make a life with that thing. I'm thinking like our side by side. Thank God I got it today because I had to bring it to work. Transmission went out of our car. But you know what I mean. That's what happens. And then there's the hustle. Something about society. Society, they make you wear a label. You're either a worker, you're a good person, you're lazy, you're not a good person. You don't want to do anything. And now there are people out there that rightfully deserve that title of lazy and no good for nothing. But then there are some that are truly trying to get by and make a living and get this, and get caught in that whole cycle. So it's really funny. I preached that a few weeks ago at church that we wear busyness like a badge of honor. I'm so busy, going in every direction. People will say, well, I know you're busy, but can you take the time to come do this or do that? Sure. There was an old saying years ago in a church or probably at workspace too, find the busiest person you know and ask them, they'll do it.
I can see that perspective where you're coming from, where you don't want to be the pastor that is sitting around doing nothing, and his saints see that who are hard workers. That's a really hard thing to be judged with. Hard is not the right word. You just don't want to have that title on you.
I had a pastor years ago that was training us, teaching us. He was from the old generation. He said, I get up at 6 o'clock every morning. And he said, if it snowed in the night, I put on my boots and I go out to the mailbox and I make a circle in my driveway at 6 o'clock. And he said I'd come back in, take off my coat and boots, and sit down and have my coffee and my tea, whatever. And I said,
What?
he said, I'll take off my coat and boots when he gets back in the house.
He does a circle?
He said, I go out every morning and check the mail, or shovel the end of the driveway, or do something and then come back in the house. And he said, I do that because my men are heading to work, to the woods or to factory or whatever. And he said, I want them to see that I'm up too.
Yeah.
And I'm not laying in bed till 10 o'clock while they're out working hard to try to help support the ministry while he's there. And I saw the point to a point. But I'm telling you right now, if I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I ain't rising. No, sir. Maybe 7, but that's me. But again, ministry. You're taught you're no good, you're lazy, you just don't want to work anyway. That's why you're a pastor. You don't want to work. You know, you're going to live off of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So
and there's people like that. So
there are, and that's what's ruined it for the good pastors, if I can say it that way. Like whatever. Mm-hmm. And so you feel this pressure to be. So now you have to you have to report back and say, boy, this was a busy week. You know, we've had this go on, we've had this go on, and they are busy weeks. But I've never once had one of the people, I can't say not once, but it's been a rare time where they've come in and said, I was so busy this week at the garage. Like, if you're a mechanic or if you're in an office or whatever, people just automatically know that they're working. They got some things they got to do.
yeah.
But for a pastor, there doesn't seem to be any structure to that. It's just, you could have 2 funerals and a wedding on a weekend, and then you might not have physically clock in at 7 o'clock in the morning and work till 3 or 5 or whatever, but you're going steady.
That's part of the issue too, though. Mm-hmm. Being a pastor is like a business. Now, not my business. I have an odd business, but let's say you're a plumber. Being a plumber and being a pastor, I could say, are almost the same. For one, you're dealing with crap, but that's just a joke. But specifically in the regard where you have to set some specifics, you have to set your working hours. I'm going to want to work from this time to this time, from 8 to 3. Let's say I do my planning, I make my videos, I do this and that, and I'm planning for church. At this time, I'm going to do visitation. I'm going to go run around, visit people. And then after work, you have your emergency calls, like a plumber. He has to go in and there's a pipe burst. As a pastor, you had a saint die, and you got to go be with the family. Mm-hmm. You have that. But if you don't set yourself a structure, life is going to be so chaotic and miserable. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of people hate it, because they haven't discovered that business way of living. In here, I set my hours, because I'm not doing emergency haircuts. That's not a thing that I'm going to do. I don't travel for haircuts. You come to me after work, I turn anything to do with my work off, which is also troublesome, because that means I don't answer any messages at all because I'm so busy at work. And I don't have time set aside, but that's a future thing I'm trying to work on. But I understand where you're at and where you're coming from. And I noticed even in here, though, just that structure. When I come in here in the morning, it's almost like an emotional boost, because I have an expectation and I know what it is. I know what to expect. I come in here and I know I'm going to be cutting hair. I know how the day's laid out. I see it on my machine over there. I know this person's coming in. I know all their names. I know their drama, their family lives. And you create that structure for yourself. And then your body also adapts to that. Your mind will adapt to that. If you have a certain place in your home that you go and you say, I'm doing my office work here until this time, your body, when you get into that place, will automatically shift over. Your mind will shift over. And that's what it is in here.
Yeah.
You walk in, you say, okay, my mindset is I'm working. Let's begin. And when you have that environment at home, you can do the same thing where you sit down, You don't have to waste time trying to think and hype yourself up to start working on your sermon, because you know sitting at this desk means that I'm going to write my sermon, I'm going to do my video. And that's just something I think more people should take up. Even my father-in-law, Everett, he has his desk, but it's hard when it's a multi-purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might have a computer that you play games at. You might have, I'm picking on Everett a little bit, but he has his guitar where he can practice, but he also has his computer where he writes his sermons. All three of those things happen in that room, and that creates a bit of chaos because you don't know what you're going to expect when you walk up there. You might have the hankering to play games, but you know you got to work on your sermon.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to play your guitar, but you know you got to focus.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a rant, but
It is. That's all good. I know. I remember in one church we were at, when you guys would get home, we would usually all try to converge at home around the same time. We'd have supper, and then different nights we'd end up at the lake going down fishing, or hanging out or whatever. And I miss those times. But we've all grown and we're all in different directions, and we would take the time, let's go to the lake. We'd just go fishing, fish off the dock and have fun, or go out to the dam and fish or whatever and spend time together like that. That was a lot of fun.
I don't want to be in different directions though. But that takes the two parties figuring out their time and what their life is like and then converging.
Yeah.
You can spend more time with family, but you got to have the conversation and say, well, we're going to set aside this time this week, every week, and do that. Because if not, it won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
The one place that I see it is with our home life. Me and my wife talk about that, where we want to sit down and do certain things certain times of the week. And it feels stupid when you have to sit down to plan out when you're going to play a video game with your wife, or if you're going to play cards, or if you're going to go have a campfire. It feels stupid planning that out. But when you have such little time, you have to. What are you going to do? When you got Friday night youth, I go from work to home. Sometimes I eat supper, sometimes I can't. I have to pick kids up all afternoon or all evening with the youth. You drop them off, you're back home. It's time to get ready for bed.
It's 10 o'clock, you're tired. You've carried your whole day.
Wednesday, same thing. Tuesday's not as much, but that's my time I set aside with the Lord too.
Mm-hmm.
We get half an hour of prayer at the church.
Yep.
I have to be over there roughly an hour before, or half an hour before, to get things set up. And Sundays, the same thing. So usually we have Saturdays. Every other Saturday we get young adults. So the time that we have, I've began to fill it up, but I want to fill it up with church. Because there's no need in me wasting time when we can spend it with not just me and yourself, but our young adults that need Jesus, that need their friends.
Need that encouragement.
They need that encouragement.
And you have to spend time, especially with new church attendees. You have to spend that time with them. You have to love them. And even the older, I say older, but the ones that have been in church for years, you still have to spend time. You have to have fellowship. You have to have. So our life has always been based around serving people, serving others. That's a really good speculation, or a really good, I'm trying to think of the word, but I can't get it. Observation. You spend your time serving.
Yeah.
Right here, you're serving. Yes, it's your business, but you're serving customers.
Yes.
That come in. Then you go home and you're serving your family. You're spending time. You're doing, and it's not, but that's because you want to. And your work in here is you need to.
I need
Your
to.
work at home as you want to. The church as you want to. Because this is your priority and you're trying to adjust that, and I'm proud of you for that. And Mom and I, for 30 years, have spent our life serving people.
Yep.
If I wasn't serving at the church, I'm serving on the fire department, or I held a job, or you're doing something to serve, you know. And when we went out on the music, you know, when we were touring, and yes, it was fun. I remember Matt Anderson, we met at a funeral a couple years ago, and we were talking, and he said, "Do you miss the road?" And I said, "No." He said, I can't comprehend that. And I said, "Let me tell you a secret." You know, and maybe his tour is sponsored by somebody, or maybe it's not, maybe it's just hard work, but he has people.
Is he married? Or does he have like a significant other?
Yes.
Does he have kids?
No.
Okay.
I'm not certain, and if you're watching Matt, I don't know if she's Precious, the lady that he's with. I've met her, very nice. But Matt has people that are booking tours, you know, and they're paid, and it's, you know, everything comes out of that, and it's a structure when it comes to those things. But I said, "Matt, we didn't have that. We were the booking agents. We were the cold calls. We were the ones making." So I said, "No, I miss the interaction with the people, but I don't miss anything else with it." And there's days where I hanker for going to Tennessee or going here or going there, you know, and we'll do that sometime, but I don't miss those things. So you're serving people, and when we were on the road, that's all we did was serve. Where can I be a help? Do you need anything? When we were at a church, and maybe we were going to stay there for 3 or 4 days, I would right away ask, "Do you need me to do anything while we're here? Like, do you need help with anything? Do you need," or whatever. So, and then when you go back home, you could really enjoy your home time because you were off. You didn't have to be, you know, somebody or whatever. But when you're locked in, I got thinking about that on Monday. When you lock into, and I'm trying to be, when you lock into a church assembly, now you've locked in to focus on that group only. You're focusing here.
Yep.
And you're trying to build this group. So therefore now your mind is set on that. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to take it from this to this to this, and it's a healthy church, and we're going to grow, and we are, which is fantastic. But again, there's a give and take to everything you do. So
Yeah,
if you want
is.
a growing church, you're going to have a busy church. If you want a church that is steady and healthy, but maybe not so busy, it's not going to grow. So you know, there's a give. It's like your business. You can say, "I'm only open 3 days a week," and then never, you know, who cares what? Well, your business will not grow. But when you're doing it properly, you're showing up, you're changing hours in July so that you can be here an hour earlier because it's, for whatever reason, I don't know, but that's up to you. That's your business. But anyway, we don't think that the same that way. I would have this place open 9 to 5. And if somebody wanted to come on in. If you don't, I can't help it. Go get your hair cut somewhere else.
Would you take a lunch?
I don't know, 9 to 5, maybe 15 minutes. If you gave yourself 15 minutes to grab a sandwich and sit for a few minutes and think.
Can't do that.
You know, we're 9 to 4 or whatever. This is only me, and I'm not a business owner as far as this goes. But you know what your bottom line is. You have to cover your bottom line, plus you have to cover your bottom in order to have money to do the things that you need to do. So in order to do that,
If I work 9 to 4, I would work twice as hard as the people that would work at the gas stations, and I would make less than them.
I believe that.
Gas stations, not referring to anybody specifically,
No.
but in terms of the amount of effort that's required, maybe 3 times or 4 times as much. But just the cost of the building when you're working a job like this, it's without even me working in here, it cost me $1,500 a month just to own this building.
Yes, sir.
So I got to make just that much more money to cover that. And when I am working, tools break, $300. I bought a tool 1 week, and there it went. Great, just dropped it. All of that money out the window.
Dear.
And that's just how it is. So again, that's a different perspective even than pastoring. And when you take a 15-minute break, give me one moment here.
We got to have a studio.
Good day, boss.
You closed or?
I am right now.
Okay.
We're just doing a podcast, but I only take appointments.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir. Would you like a card just in case you want to book one?
Yeah. Thank you.
You are the man, buddy. Be safe out there today.
Yeah, thanks.
I've never seen that guy in my life. He must be from Ontario.
See, now there, right, so for example, there this morning you had 2 people show up at your door. Why? Because you're providing a service.
Yep.
They're going to come. They're going to come.
I prefer this, though, even than that.
Yeah.
If I could do this as a living, talking with you, being with my father.
Oh, wouldn't that be fantastic? True story.
And it can happen, but there's also the biblical aspect. I believe I was placed here for a certain purpose. But that's the hard part, because now I have to create a functioning business. I know the Lord will supply, but he also gives you wisdom.
Yeah.
The Lord gives us doctors, not so that we can run around and hurt ourselves. And if I cut off my arm right now, I'm not going to say, Lord, heal that for me right now. I'm going to say, my God, I got to get to a hospital.
Right.
Because the Lord gave the doctors the wisdom to take care of me. And he gave me this business because he wants me to be out there with the people and to learn them and understand them and to love them. And the Lord put us in both the positions that we're in. We're busy, but he's also trying to teach us the wisdom, teach us the things that we need to. We just got to know what to do with what we're given. And that's the hard part, is learning that.
My generation was taught, so I know we're jumping around from point to point. My generation, so I worked at grocery stores when I was a teenager. At a grocery store, there's always something to do. If you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs, the manager, the owner, whoever is going to say, can't you find something to do? Because you're giving of yourself, your time in exchange for a paycheck.
Yep.
That's what's happening. You're giving of your time. So we used to laugh. There was one guy, after dinner, he'd go to the bathroom and he'd be there for half hour after dinner. You know,
Dinner.
You know, like he already had an hour.
Yeah.
So that's like time theft, you know, from your company. At break time, you'd find him in the bathroom, maybe half an hour. You know, oh, I had terrible bowels today, or something. Whatever. That happens. But I remember being over there, and if we had a promo to put out for the week, you hustled. Then you got your promo out, but then you still had to stock shelves. And I remember one business owner, Paul Clark, fantastic. He learned me so many things about retail, and I only worked there 2 years with him, and I went down to the co-op.
You were there 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I started when I was 15. Almost. I may have just turned 15. Because I remember that whole first year, Mom had to drive me in, or Dad would drop me off at work. Because it was after school, or it was, you know, they'd pick me up because they didn't have a vehicle. I couldn't drive then. I was only 15.
Yep.
So when I went down to the co-op for the rest of the time. But anyway, Paul would come and say, he would coach us, and he would say, listen, if you put out all your shelves, or, you know, if you put out all of your because we would come in and Paul would say, okay, Todd, any full-time employee that was there through the day, one guy did the toilet paper, one guy did the cereal. Maybe that one guy did both of those aisles. One guy did the canned goods. One guy, you know, like that was there. So when the pallets came in, you knew, okay, this is canned goods, that's Mike's. This is Louie's. This is Dale's. This is whoever's. And so we would come in at night, and Paul would say, can you finish doing up the can aisle or the toilet paper aisle or the cereal aisle. The boys were busy today, so you'd put all that product out, or you had to restock. And once you got all that stuff out there and everything was all done, and let's just say you had an hour and a half left, the store wasn't very busy. Sometimes different parts of the week the store wasn't extremely busy, so you'd get people trickle in for cereal, trickle in for bread, trickle in for milk, whatever, and then back out. And so Paul would come to us and say, so guys, listen, when you're in a lull where there's not a lot happening, face shelves.
Yep.
So we'd go facing shelves. We'd take a rag and dust off. If there was any dust on the cans, we'd just clean. And when you used to go up to Say-Busy years ago, and maybe other stores the same way, you can tell an owner that cares for his business, just like you care. Look what you've done here. It's not run down, ragtag. It's nice. You walk in, it's nice. So you care for your business. And when you would walk into Say-Busy, you could look down the aisle. And every can, box, carton, whatever was faced out. We always put the oldest to the front, newest to the back, and there was a steady rotation of that. So you learned those things.
Yeah.
But he cared for his business, and he taught us hustle, hustle, hustle. Gotta go. When we come down to the co-op, I already had that training, so it just put it right in. So you're doing something. If you're not answering the bell to carry out groceries, then you're stocking shelves, or you're helping clean the meat room, or you're helping bag lettuce. I did it all throughout the years. You work and do whatever you can do. Work in the bakery, do whatever you got to do. So that carries over into your life because now you've been programmed. You're programmed to hustle, 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 hustle all the time. And that's what's happened. That's my generation. I can't speak for your generation. We tried to train you guys better, but we failed in some areas and we succeeded in others. But my generation was hustle, hustle, hustle. Go to work. You can rest when you go home. Well, normally when you went home, you had your own stuff to do. So anyway, it's so different. Our times and our seasons, I'm just talking about everything all together, but everything is different, but it's the same. It's the same town. It's the same home that we've lived in for the last 15 years. We love our home. Lord willing, we'll spend another 40 or 50 years there, whatever it is. But you can be so busy building a life that you forget to build a life. Excuse me. Does that make sense?
Yep. On that note, I think we should probably end off this morning. I'm getting about ready to have to start.
See?
But thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope something we said today was an influence to you and hopefully helps you take some more time and settle down a little bit. If you enjoyed, please like, share, subscribe. Send us to somebody you like. Send us to somebody you don't like. Put a mean comment down even, too, if you'd like. But as we always say, I don't know.
This is
Beyond the Roar.